Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be covering Federalist 11, titled The Utility of the Union in Respect to Commercial Relations and a Navy. This essay was written by Alexander Hamilton, and it argues that a union with a strong navy will best facilitate foreign trade. Hamilton begins number 11 by pointing out that even by 1787, the commercial character of America had already caught the negative attention of the European nations. They were unhappy to recognize that America would soon rapidly insert itself into global markets, and that she had all the requisite elements needed to establish a formidable maritime power. In other words, says Hamilton, America was on the verge of instituting an active commerce, and so, naturally, the European countries would do anything to divide America and subdue her trade. Alright then, how do we stop them from stopping us? How do we best secure our interests? Well, Hamilton argues, through a union, under the Constitution, of course. These are the Federalist Papers, after all, remember? So the first method of strengthening our commercial position and counteracting the schemes of other nations is to initiate throughout the states strict restrictions on foreign trade. Other countries want to buy our goods, of course, and sell their products to the millions of people who live here, so the idea is that if we strategically held off, we hold all the cards and could leverage our position into obtaining respect in negotiations. Hamilton has an example in mind. Suppose, for instance, we had a government in America capable of excluding Great Britain, with whom we have at present no treaty of commerce, from all our ports. What would be the probable operation of this step upon our politics? Would it not enable us to negotiate with the fairest prospect of success for commercial privileges of the most valuable and extensive kind in the dominions of that kingdom? Well, you may say, in such a scenario, maybe the British would still avoid negotiating, and would instead just trade with us indirectly. Perhaps some other country would act as a middleman, selling American goods to Britain and British product to us. Unlikely, states Hamilton. Great Britain would lose out on profits and would surrender her navigation positions to and from America. If our national government cut off access to our markets, other nations would be incentivized to make trade deals with us. And it would be in our best interest as well. Free trade generally increases the size of the economy, lowers prices for consumers, and rewards efficiency and innovation. There are potential drawbacks, of course, but you get the general idea of why we would want to pursue some level of international trade. Oh, and by the way, one more note here before we move on. The kind of hardline restriction on foreign trade Hamilton is advocating for here is probably only really feasible in the early stages of a country's history. As a nation becomes more and more integrated into the global economy, it grows increasingly difficult to reverse course, both politically and practically. It can be done, but dramatic shifts usually really hurt our economy until it fully readjusts. See Thomas Jefferson's 1807 Embargo Act, for instance. Anyway, from here Hamilton moves on to discuss the need for a federal navy. This would be an attractive pursuit because if we established a marine presence, we could quickly and decisively respond to affairs in the American hemisphere. Hamilton's broader point is that our commercial authority necessarily demands the power of a naval force to support it. For in the best-case scenario, a situation so favorable would enable us to bargain with great advantage for commercial privileges. By a steady adherence to the Union, we may hope, ere long, to become the arbiter of Europe and America, and to be able to incline the balance of European competitions in this part of the world as our interest may dictate. While Hamilton specifically had in mind the riches of the West Indies here, historically, the United States was able to protect itself and its interest with a disproportionately smaller naval force due to the difficulty of European powers in sending their ships across the Atlantic in time. To that end, should conflict break out among discordant European nations, should we wish to remain neutral, this may only be achieved through a significant naval force. The rights of neutrality will only be respected when they are defended by an adequate power. A nation, despicable by its weakness, forfeits even the privilege of being neutral. Right. Belgium's neutrality meant nothing when it was in the interest of Germany to invade it during both world wars. In any case, the formation of a navy demands a union. As Hamilton states, every institution will grow and flourish in proportion to the quantity and extent of the means concentred towards its formation and support. The Navy of the United States, as it would embrace the resources of all, is an object far less remote than a navy of any single state or partial confederacy, which would only embrace the resources of a single part. It happens, indeed, that different portions of Confederated America possess each some peculiar advantage for this essential establishment. Hamilton is saying that the best material and manpower for a navy would be spread throughout the states, so it would be best to be able to draw from them all, instead of having a bunch of weaker, independent navies. But not only that, strong interrelations among the states enhance the trade between them. Such commercial relations encourage the spread of materials, which influences the value and diversity of the product output. And with a federal government, the process of foreign exportations is then organized and standardized. Remember, the states would be rather unlikely to work together harmoniously without a union, for the many reasons covered in previous videos. So the takeaway from Federalist number 11 is that only a united America can drive an active commerce and be able to create an effective navy, and they are in synergy with one another. Our commercial legitimacy is spurious without the power to protect it incumbent on a navy, and a strong navy is built through the wealth of a competently run economy. And like I said, both ultimately depend on a union. Hamilton ends the essay by kind of hyping up the reader like we're at a pep rally or something. Men admired as profound philosophers have, in direct terms, attributed to Europe's inhabitants a physical superiority, and have gravely asserted that all animals, and with them the human species, degenerate in America, that even dogs cease to bark after having breathed a while in our atmosphere. Facts have too long supported these arrogant pretensions of the Europeans. It belongs to us to vindicate the honor of the human race, and to teach that assuming brother moderation. Union will enable us to do it. Disunion will add another victim to his triumphs. Let Americans disdain to be the instruments of European greatness. Let the 13 states, bound together in a strict and indissoluble union, concur in erecting one great American system, superior to the control of all transatlantic force or influence, and able to dictate the terms of the connection between the old and the new world. Fair enough, I suppose. And that concludes Federalist 11. What did you think? Be sure to comment your thoughts or questions down below, and if you like this content, do consider subscribing. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good one.